Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm just going to wait till a couple people come on because I saw that a couple people were waiting to join. So I'm Chris. Hello. I'm Chris from Made by Movement. I think how the stream works is that people will, when you join, you'll start from the beginning. So shouldn't have to really wait for people. So I think we'll start from here, and I think everyone will just kind of hear what I have to say, just the kind of beginning bits. So hello, everybody. Welcome. I am Chris. I am a doctor of physical therapy, originally from America, but I now live in North Yorkshire. And my specialties in physio are sport, specifically running. I do a lot of gait analysis on some very fancy machinery, which is quite cool. And strength and conditioning for runners. And then I just do some kind of writing for a trail running magazine in America. So lots of little bits, but I like to kind of have all those different things for my mind. So, and then also we're doing yoga and Pilates here today. So that's what we're focusing on. It's going to be a runners-based class. So welcome. If you do have any questions, I do not have good enough eyesight to see if you can write a comment. So I think the best thing to do is either put it in the chat or email to me. So I think everyone will have my details anyway. So let's begin. I think an important thing to note though, before we start, is that whether you're doing a class on YouTube, like a Yoga with Adriene, or if you go to a yoga class regularly in person, or even today, that no matter what any teacher says to you, it's really important that you're doing the right things for your own body. So a lot of things I see in clinic are people, especially coming from classes who are used to pain, runners, and they are pushing into things that are too much for them in the hopes that that will help them get better mobility or more strength. But if you're feeling sensations like a pinching or a tearing and your body is kind of saying, oh, I'm not really sure about this, it's really important to back off, especially in mobility. We can get a lot of gains by not having to push too much. So that's just something to be mindful of, especially with some runners, because a lot of pushing is going on and a lot of pain can be overlooked sometimes. So that's just something to note. And you will know your body better than anyone, especially in an online class, but not even sometimes in an in-person class. So we're going to bring our knees wide, feet together, and we're going to walk our hands forward into this child's pose. Now, if this is too much for your knees or your ankles, you just raise your knees up slightly and come into a puppy. Otherwise, we'll be here in a child's pose, walking our hands out. Just drop the forehead to the mat, pressing the hips towards the heels, and we just should feel the spine lengthen. As we go through today, I'm probably going to be talking a little bit, just kind of physio, yoga, running information. So I'll try to just link that in as we go. Because all of these are going to be mobility and strength for runners, but there's a lot of information that I think is missed that I see a lot of questions in clinic come up. So I think information is something I love, and the more I can pass on is great. Let's walk our hands to the left. The chest is going to go over the left thigh, and our hands are just going to reach a little higher, especially this right one, so we can feel that stretch down the right side of the back. Good. And just focusing on our breath here. A lot of times in yoga classes, there's a lot of focus on specific breath, but all I want you to do today is focus on just breathing. So you can inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One of the best things that yoga can do for runners is bring that mind and body connection. Let's bring the right chest over the right leg. We don't have really a right chest, so just the chest over the right leg. Left hand reaches forward, stretch out that left side of your back. And having that mind and body connection, especially when running, is, as you will all know, really important. And so if we can bring our mind to our breath, it can calm our mind and our mental state, and we can actually focus a little bit more, get a little bit of a better performance. Good. Exhale back to center, and we're just going to roll forward into this position we call tabletop. So my hip is directly over my knee, my shoulder is directly over my wrist. And what we want to do is something called spider fingers. So I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I'm gripping in, probably not, where my knuckles are up. So this is just bringing more surface area, and so not all the weight is on the wrists. Excellent. And let's just inhale, rounding the back, dropping the head, tucking the hips, and then arch. So this is a super common one, just a cat-cow, just moving the hips, warming up the back. If you've been sitting at the desk today, this is quite a nice one. Inhale and exhale. And most of the poses we'll do today are dynamic. So dynamic is going back and forth gently through a range of motion, not static. And that is another thing that I think makes yoga really good for runners, because static stretching is actually not the best thing we can do. Let's just switch left and right now. So instead of up and down, we're going to go side to side. So hips go left, chest goes right. Feel that stretch all the way through the side body. Other side, good. Inhale and exhale. And so you might know this, so if I'm pandering to you, I don't mean to, but a lot of my athletes that come in, I find actually don't know this a lot. Let's press back into a child's pose, one final stretch into the spine. And while we do this, I'll tell you about static stretching. So static stretching basically is a holding of a stretch. So holding into one position instead of dynamically moving through a range of motion. And what that's doing is it's lengthening temporarily your muscle fibers, which is fine, but in order for a muscle fiber to contract, it needs to be actually a little bit shorter. So when you stretch before a race in a static way, you're actually lengthening and you're going to reduce your performance because your muscles can't contract as well. And really, whether it's before or after, unfortunately, there's no solid evidence in terms of research where it's going to improve performance, reduce pain, or reduce injury risk. So really, it's not recommended. The only time you maybe could do it is after. Okay, let's roll forward back into this tabletop. And so we're going to start on this left side. And I'm going to kick my leg back, keeping my hips down so I'm not opening my hip up. And then I'm going to kick to the side. And so this is a little bit more of a mobility, because what mobility means is we're moving through range of motion with control. Flexibility is passive. So how far can I push myself without really using my muscles? Mobility is much more important, especially for runners. So not only do we need that, functional range of motion, but we need to be able to control it. Without either of those, we're going to be not as an effective runner. And our gait's going to be a bit wonky. Good. Keep on going. You'll probably feel it in the glutes. Inhale and exhale. We'll last one. Straighten that leg out. Drop the foot down. And we're just going to gently drop down, back up. If you need to go into a smaller range of motion, that's fine. We should feel into the inner thigh, the adductors. Good. Breathing as we go. Excellent. Ribs are pulling down. We're breathing. Inhale and exhale. Don't worry if your pattern is off as long as we're breathing as we move. Excellent. On your next exhale, bring this left foot behind us. So we're almost in like a side plank with our knee down. And we're just going to stretch through this side body, pressing your hip away, reaching your arm forward. And you can open up. Excellent. Now, if you want, this makes it a little harder. You can take this hand, lift this foot, and grab. See, I'm totally off balance anyway. Grab your foot and just open up through your chest, open up through your hip flexor. Ribs are pulling down and we're activating our abs, but we're also moving into an extension into the hip. Inhale and exhale. Wrist is underneath the shoulder. And let's see if we can be a little bit crazy here and bring this left foot up into a low lunge. So depending on how many yoga classes you've done, this might be a little bit of a different lunge. So this is a little bit more 90 degrees. A lot of classes I see and have been to, it's a bit more like this type of lunge. But actually this uses loads of your back, not loads of my hips. So we're going to be in this 90 lunge. My left leg is forward. So your forward leg, the hip wants to pull back in the socket. The backward leg, it's going to pull forward. So we don't want our hips opening up to the side. We want them forward. So it almost feels like you're moving a steering wheel in my head. And if that makes no sense to you, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I'm thinking that. Okay, so belly button squeezes toward the spine. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want my more flexible back muscles to do the movement. I want my hip to get the range. And we're just going to gently pulse. Inhaling and exhaling, hands on the hips. If you feel like, oh, this is really hurting my knee, you can put a pillow underneath, or you can kind of roll your mat over. Inhale and exhale. And as we go through this, and we will go obviously through both sides eventually, I want you to maybe notice if there's one side that's a little different. Let's frame our front foot. Now, if this is completely ridiculous to you, just put your hands on your hips and lean forward. Frame your front foot, curl your toes up, and just move, hop that foot, maybe give yourself a hand forward. Now, something that's important here, you can see that my knee isn't fully extended into hyperextension because we don't want to be hanging off our joint. We want the muscles to be doing the movement. So I just have a micro bend here, just micro. And all I'm going to do is look forward, chin goes toward the shin, so we're not forehead to shin and rounding with our back. Again, our back will want to do it. I'm using my hips and my hamstrings. So again, you could be here. If you're next to something, hold on to something. I am, for a yoga teacher, I have terrible balance. So doing what you can to help that. Good. Inhaling, chin pulls forward, chest pulls forward. Hip socket sucks backwards. And let's just go forward and back in a bit of a dynamic position. Again, just moving in the range of motion that you have. Good. Breathing as we go. If there's one position, so if this feels a lot better to you or it feels more beneficial than this, stay in one of those longer. The key to yoga is making it work for you. And there is no wrong or right as long as you're listening and you're trying to do those things that we feel the most beneficial. Good. And so we're going to stop here with our leg forward and let's move this foot, so heel toe it to the edge of the mat. So it's on the very edge, my pinky toe's next to the edge. Now I can put my hands down. I'm going to go this way so you can kind of see me. So I can put my hands down. However, if that is not for you, if you have a book or some blocks at home, you can put your hands up. Otherwise, just kind of put your hands here. But this is an excellent hip stretch if we have the range of motion. So this is beginner lizard. However, if you'd like to go into advanced lizard, press that foot straight. You might be like, Kristen, no, keep it down. That's okay. But for some of you, this might be just where we're working on, putting your hands to the ground. For some of you, if you want to go a little bit more, we're going to take our hands, walk them a little forward, and we're just going to bend into our elbows and come back up. So it's called a lizard push-up, dynamically moving into our hip, into that range of motion. Again, harder. Good. Here, I'll do it on the other side just so you can see. Now, again, this might seem ridiculous, so we might be here. Left hip. No, wait, I'm doing the opposite. Left hip pulls back, right hip pulls forward. So pick that range and do what's right, these lizard push-ups. If you are doing the push-ups, make sure that your hands are forward. Inhale and exhale. Good. And drop that back knee, coming back into this 90-90 lunge. Good job. Some of you will be like, what was that? Okay, curl the back toes. And we're going to hands on the hips or reaching up. We're just going to come into this high lunge. Okay. So we're just going to hold here. However, a really good thing that a lot of runners actually are missing is this unilateral strength, which is pretty essential for runners. So working on things like Bulgarian split squats, lunges in all different ranges, so laterally, so side to side or forward and back, is really important and can be added into a yoga practice as well. But we're not going to focus on that today. We only got 30 minutes. So we can certainly do that if people want next time. Okay, so Bend into this knee, so we're making a right angle. Reach those hands backwards. Hold. So we're not resting our chest down. We're just holding. Excellent. For 3, 2, and 1. Forearm goes onto the thigh. Our back toes turn toward the long edge of the mat. And we're reaching over, so into a side angle. Good. Keeping this foot down, so a lot of you will want to raise it up. Inhale, holding if you can. Keep this knee at a 90-degree angle. And let's straighten out our legs. Now I'm going to do this again the opposite way so I can actually look at you. But we're going to bring our toes toward the long edge of the mat, facing the way that we're normally facing. But I'm going to turn this way so I'm not just pushing my butt at the camera. So you're here. Let's just roll down. And again, you might be here. You might be here. You might walk your hands all the way through. So I'll just show you this way. So I'm pretty flexible into my lower legs, but you might be here, or again, here. Keeping your spine extended, though, will be a really helpful thing to do. Okay. So what we're going to do is then move into the side angle on this side. So our right leg toward the top of the mat, left foot toward the long edge. Knee is in 90 degrees. Open the chest up, and we're reaching, feeling the stretch to the other side. Inhale and exhale. Keep holding there. Excellent. And toes turning toward the top of the mat, so the opposite way. Ooh, see my terrible balance. Reaching those hands back. Reaching high lunge. Inhale. Pressing into the big toe, pressing into all 4 corners of the feet. Rising up to this high lunge. Exhale, lowering down. Excellent. So we're going into the reverse, if you can't tell. I'm sure you all could. Okay, walking that foot, the right foot now, to the outer edge of the mat. We're going into that lizard. So you might be here, just dropping the hip. Your hands might be down. Your knee may be slightly back, dropping down. Or you're in the full position, dropping those elbows. And this is an excellent position once you can build up to it because it requires a lot of abdominal strength as well. So it is really kind of a compound movement. Good. Exhale, drop that back knee. Move that foot back to the center, and we're going dynamic. So forward and backward. This will feel a little different because we've not done the stretches for either way. So just being mindful of that. You don't have to push into it. Again, you might be up here. The biggest thing that I can say, especially as a physio, is if you make things individual to you and take your ego out of it, you will get so much farther, so much faster. The people who really improve, not only in physio, but the strength and conditioning clients I have are people who are like, let me just start from where I need to be. The people who are like, no, here's where I am, insisting on doing things that are not right for them, they will stay stuck. I promise. So you might feel stupid just being up here. It will go really quick. And you will see so much more of an effective form, power production as well if we actually have full range of motion. Why am I out of breath? Okay, let's hold into this half split is what it's called in yoga. I think it's Ardha Sarasana in Sanskrit, but don't ask me a lot of the other names. That just one came to me. Okay, mild bend in the knee, chest is forward and extended, dropping as we can. My right leg is a lot looser than my left, so I can actually go a lot farther down. But just like I said, it's individual, so you don't have to push them to be the same. Chin drops, not forehead. Inhale. And exhale, roll forward into this 90-90 lunge. Maybe scoot that foot into this 90 and 90. Belly button to spine. Relax the shoulders. And just little pulses. Good. Maybe noticing again what side is a little bit tighter. Inhale and exhale. And things like this as well can really help you get to know your body. So when we're, learning about, oh, I'm always getting injured on this one side, maybe it's a strength issue, maybe it's a mobility issue. And so things like this can kind of get you to know what's kind of going on, because we don't often pay attention to that or have time to. Good job, everybody. Okay, drop the hands down. We're going to do a little reverse here. So our right foot is going to reach back and we're going to grab it. Open up through that hip into extension. Make sure the wrist is under the shoulder. If you fall, that's fine. You don't need to be here though. If you want, you can stay here. Good. Breathing. If you're like me and going into any kind of focused position, I just stop breathing. So that's another major thing that's kind of helped me with my running, especially when I get really focused. The breath kind of sometimes stops. Excellent. Drop that foot, side stretch. Pushing the pelvis away, reaching those hands forward. Inhale. And exhale, drop that hand down, coming back into this 4-point kneeling, tabletop position. Okay, let's bring this foot out to the side and just gently going forward and back. Good. Let me check the time here. Perfect, right on time. Excellent. Forward and back. Good. And on your next inhale, we rise. Lift the leg if you can. Kick. Kick. Keeping that control. I don't care how quick you go. And I don't care if you might be just moving the leg like this. So toe is sliding. That is absolutely fine. If that is the range that you're in right now, do that. Inhale. And exhale. Drop that knee. Press into the child's pose. Okay. Inhale, roll up back to this tabletop. Curl the toes. And we're just going to press into our hands. Come into this forward fold. Now, like I said, I've got pretty mobile hamstrings. And so if this is not you, you can be here. You might even be here. Or you might be on your legs, just kind of finding somewhere to anchor yourself. And again, we're not rounding. We're pushing our chest forward and extending our spine. So we're really just hinging at the hips. Good. Slight bend in the knee again. So a micro bend. Inhale and exhale. Now let's just heel to our feet slightly apart. And again, this will be different for every single person. Find that width that's right for you. You might even turn your toes open a little bit. It just is what works for your hips. And everyone's hips, by the way, have a different angle to them. So really, you shouldn't be doing the same as everyone else. So find that angle that's right with your feet. And we're going to go into just a couple of squats. So for some people, that just might be here. Might be all the way down here for some people. But what's most important is that we can control that. So I'm just not letting gravity take me. I can control this full range of motion. Inhale and exhale. Now, for those of you who are quite mobile or want to take this a little farther, I'll show you something to add in. If you're happy here, just stay here. I'm going to turn this way. So another great thing is internal and external rotation. So if you're here, you can drop this foot in, drop it in. Now, if you're a little higher, what I would just do is going in. If that's not for you, don't worry. Just stay going up and down. But if it is, just add a couple in. And again, it's about control. You might find you can do it, but you're falling over. You can't control that movement. Good. And put your hands down. Just sit on your bum. Okay, our final couple positions here. So I'm going to face you again. So we're first going to move into the layers of this next movement. It's one of my favorite mobility ones for the hips. It's called 90-90 seated. I don't know. Every single position, when I became a physio and you're like Googling exercises to give people, every single exercise is called something different with somebody. So this is what I'm calling it. Hands are going to be behind you. Feet are open. And we're just dropping. So one leg is an internal rotation, one is an external. And you might be very tight, and this is all you can do. So move in the range that works for you. I have a hip injury that when it gets really flared up, I have to go a little bit of a smaller range, which is fine. So it's about, accommodating the injuries that you do have. And it will help you along the way. I get the habit of keep trying to talk when my point is made, which I really shouldn't do. I'm sure all my patients are just like, please stop talking now. Okay. Now, that is the first level. You might want to stay there. But if you don't, then that's fine. So what we're going to do is just sit up, basically. Now, as we move, one glute will come off the mat, which is fine. But you're just going to kind of move forward and back, side to side, through internal and external range of motion. Good job, everybody. Okay, now this is again level 2. If you want to make it harder, so let's just say we're sitting in this position. My right leg is right here. I'm going to kick my right leg forward and then kick it back. My chest lifts. And we'll just drop, move to the other side. And kick. Now you might think that's ridiculous. Use your hands if you need, or if you're almost there. I often find myself in between levels of things thinking like, oh, I'm almost there, but I'm not quite there, but the other level is too easy. So use your hands. And don't expect one leg to be the exact same. You might not be able to go as far. And release. Okay, let's bring our feet onto our mat like this if we're not already. Reach our hands forward and lower down using our abs. Excellent. Looking toward the sky, bringing our feet in, and let's just keep our shoulders relaxed, dropping side to side. So something else that I do see, I would say a fair amount, more in, I would say maybe beginner runners, but that is not exclusive certainly, is lower back pain after a certain amount of running. And some research indicates it could be due to the glutes aren't activating enough, and so your lower back is taking over a little bit. But it also can be due to just lack of motion throughout the day, and so our bodies don't really like going from one thing to the other. So if you do sit a lot during the day, that drastic change might be too much. So just adding in just some rotation or something like a cat-cow might be really helpful. It obviously is all situational, but good. And so we're just going to end class here. Palms are up, relaxing the shoulders, closing down your eyes. I just want you to stay here for just a moment, focusing on your breath. Adding things in at the end, like a meditation or just some breath work, can really help us. A lot of things that I've done with professional athletes is a lot more in terms of mindfulness, because we can really follow good strength and conditioning programs. But if we don't have that mental capacity for breathing, focus, being able to activate the things that we need to and push ourselves into a higher gear, it sometimes, we can't get to those performance levels we want to. So being able to just add in some breath work and becoming more mindful can be really, really helpful. Good. Okay, I'm just going to push myself up, but you can stay as long as you want. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, you can either send me a message through the WhatsApp group. You can send me a message privately. You can go through the website, which is www.madebymovement.org. Everyone with Best Athletics gets a whole free month, which the code is in the WhatsApp group. I'll re-put it in there again. But it's just Beth's Athletics. But as I said, you can message me all sorts of places on Instagram through the WhatsApp group. I hope to hear from you if you do have any questions. But I hope you all had a good night, and I hope you have a good weekend. Bye. I'm gonna have to now scoot forward really awkwardly to turn this off, but there's nothing else I can do about that. Bye.